Welcome to OTS Live. I'm your host Vin Blaine, and I'm hoping that all of you have been keeping well in this pandemic situation that we have. And welcome to the show. Today we have another special guest. We're going to talk about scholarships, student athletes and how they can get into colleges in the US. And my guest today is someone who has all the experience in this area. He has been a head coach. He has now formed his own business, and we're going to get into that. And his is to assist with the aiding and advising parents and students how they can get into colleges in a way that is safe to them, and also knowing what they're getting into. So today my guest is no other than Everton Edwards. Everton is someone that I've known for a few years now, quite some time now. And he was, I let him tell you exactly, where he started, how he started, and why he's into this position now. But first, we have to definitely welcome Everton to the broadcast. Everton, hey, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Vin. How are you?
I'm great as I
Good.
can. Today we have a nice little conversation too.
Yeah.
This discussion is going to be based around your business.
Okay.
I was just saying to listeners that I've known you quite some time now, my viewers.
Here we go, way back.
You traveled with me to Los Angeles as my goalkeeper coach with the girls program.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the Jamaica football women's team, national team. Everton came with me to Los Angeles as a goalkeeper coach. But I met you through FIU, Florida International University. I think you were the head coach at the time.
Yes.
For the women's team, and that's how we met. Our path crossed when I think you took a player that was on the national team.
Yes, Bell. Miss Bell. Yes, very good.
Nicola Bell. Nicola Bell. Good, very good player.
Very good player.
Very good player. We're struggling to find more like her. No.
Oh yeah.
The program is kind of dead. But let me stop rambling on, and you tell me, your how you got into the game. How you got into the FIU. But first, start with your background in football for me. And soccer, as you might be getting used to.
Well, I'm football now.
Football now. You move from soccer to football.
Yeah. Well, I started basically when I was fortunate because I got I was playing a pickup game in a local park, and somebody said to me basically, "Hey, you good enough? Would you like to go to America?" And I said, "Yeah, right." I was one of those. Anyway, I followed up with this young person, and I was able to go to Mercer County Community College in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was very fortunate. I went as goalkeeper in 1979, and that began my experience at college. I went to Mercer, and then after we did very well at Mercer. And I think in the 2 years I played, we only lost 3 games, and then I got a scholarship offer. In the final of the NJCAA championship game, in fact, we got there was 4 teams in it. Of the 4 teams, 8 of us were picked from that to go to Florida International University. Mm-hmm. So we all met up again. We lost to Morrisville in the final, and we became teammates. And then we went to Florida International University on a scholarship, and we won the 1982 national championship. Yeah, that was a very good experience. Culturally, it opened my eyes, because the way that the Americans do things is much different than most nations. Sport is a very important factor in their livelihood, and going to college at Mercer, and your laundry was done, Your uniforms were bought. They bought you shoes. They bought you, you know. Whereas in England, they don't do that. And I was talking to a lot of people how the Americans put sport high up. Sport is a part of life. So yes, I transferred to FIU, did 2 years there, graduated with a criminal justice degree, and then I was the assistant coach to the men's program. We went and won another championship in '84, and then um, '84, and then they started a women's program, and they just asked me would I be interested in coaching. And at first I thought, nah, I don't really know much about coaching females, even though football's the same for everybody. But let me tell you something. That opportunity for me was a great learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great learning experience because FIU started the program, and they at the time it was because of Title IX. And in America, Title IX is where the women's programs get as much or more than the men's programs.
Mm-hmm.
So that enabled me to build a program from scratch. But again, we didn't match up to some of the top programs, but we still were competitive. I enjoyed that because I didn't get everything, so we had to raise money sometimes and do things that help me now in business. So I'm very pleased about that. It was a fantastic experience going to Florida.
But I want to find out from you before you move on further in the conversation. I'm interested to find out, did you have any type of coaching experience where you're offered the job, the role to coach the girls?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. My coaching, I was kind of learning on the job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. While playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What got me was you can't coach females like you can coach males.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to when you're coaching females, you have to take them as individuals to make a team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you're coaching male, you can just take them as one, as a team.
Yeah.
You've got to know what makes them tick.
Yeah.
And you've got to know what makes them play the way you want them to play. One thing about females is that they will go above board if they enjoy your coaching, enjoy what you have to offer. So that was a fantastic experience for me.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time. I want to go right into the meat of what this is all about. But I go back to what you just said. I've always said, as somebody that coach females for quite some time myself.
Yeah.
I have always said the difference between when I'm asked why I coach females, if I do enjoy, I always tell the person asking the question that, the difference is the women the females want to learn.
Yeah.
Right? The boys want to show you what they know.
Yeah.
And that's a distinct difference. That's a
very different
difference in your approach. I enjoy coaching females because of that particular reason.
Yeah.
But let's get into becoming a student athlete. I'm not good, and then I'll get into a certain other question. But becoming a student athlete.
Becoming a student athlete.
I'm leading into it. So give me your take on becoming a student athlete.
My take on becoming a student athlete: first, you have to have the academic background. Not only do you have to play, you have to have the academic background. Mm-hmm. So when coming out of school, I had so many GCSEs, and at the time I didn't take the SAT because I was going to a junior college. I was based on the grades, but things have changed now. Mm-hmm. The academic side is more demanding to get into schools right now. But that's because there's so many opportunities out there, so they want to pick the best.
Right.
And then I'm going getting the scholarship to go to FIU. They covered my books tuition. They covered my room and board and meals. So I was very fortunate for that. And
So
then go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead, Eva. Go ahead.
And then academically, you have to go through the process of getting admitted into the school.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're admitted as a student athlete, your life is a little bit different from the ordinary student because you have to train and you have to go to class.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't pass classes, you don't play. So
Mm.
that's a double whammy where you have to keep your grades up.
And
You have
that's
to.
across the board, Everton. Is that across the board, or some coaches bend a bit?
I think that's across the board
Mm-hmm.
because now they're making the programs much more responsible for the academic performance of
Mm-hmm.
their student athletes, and across the board, that's across the board now.
Mm-hmm. So I know that I've gotten players into Division 1 college, Division 2 college, and junior college
Hmm.
in the Caribbean and maybe
Hmm.
other parts of the world. I'm speaking from my knowledge base, right?
Yeah,
I know that it was always easier for me to get players into the junior colleges, play 2 years, and then they transfer into a 4-year college if they do well
yeah,
in
yeah,
school, right? So that was mainly the approach that I took based on the academic achievements of the players.
yeah,
What and I say this because I want you to give me the difference now. Even though a player is a top player,
yeah,
the only way they can get into a Division 1 school is because it's through the play and the academics, right?
yeah, yeah.
They have to
So
be
you have to have some decent kind of academics
to
um,
get Division 1.
because say what happens if you get injured.
Yes.
Okay, what happens
Hmm.
if you get injured?
Hmm.
You've got to be able to continue in the academic side of things.
Hmm.
What I like about the US is that um, most schools, if you get injured, they continue your scholarship,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
which is great. Well, if they've done it on the field, not for any stupidities or doing out of campus stuff, stupid things, but
Hmm.
most schools cover your scholarship, so that's really good. There's one thing I like to add: any international student athletes, if you get a full scholarship, the only thing they don't cover sometimes is they don't cover at all because they're not allowed to is your airfare.
Oh, the airfare. Yeah,
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 they're
yeah,
not allowed
yeah,
to cover.
yeah, yeah. That much I know, and my viewers and listeners should also bear that in mind. What about holidays?
Holidays, I mean, football's a year-round business.
Hmm.
In the fall, which starts in August, it goes from August to December. That's your competitive season.
Hmm.
Um, in the spring, you have a shortened season where you play games, but you don't have to train every day. In the fall season, you train every day, and sometimes you play 3 games a week. You might play on a Wednesday, you might play on a Friday and a Sunday.
Hmm.
So
When I was
it's a lot.
asking what I was getting to Everton when I
Mhm.
asked about holidays during a spring break, say for instance spring break,
Yeah.
right? Is the athlete responsible to find some place to go, or can they stay on campus
Oh,
during?
stay on campus.
They can stay on campus.
Stay on campus.
Oh,
Stay
because
on
that's
campus.
one of the areas I think a lot of people was not sure about. Wasn't sure about.
No, no, they stay
So
on
they can
campus.
stay right through the year as long as they are signed
They
up.
can stay right through the year.
Mhm.
Most of them up like Christmas time. They have to
Mhm.
go home, but they
Mhm.
can stay right through the year.
Mhm.
You know.
All right, so let me. This takes me to another area that I would love to discuss. A player scouted, right? They're offered a scholarship based
Yeah.
on their playing ability, based on their academic ability. Does it help the coaches who are recruiting if you are your academics is up, they can now transfer some of that money to another area, and don't use up the full scholarship money for
Well,
the
each school is different.
is school
Each
different.
school is different. There's
Hmm.
certain stipulations you can and cannot do
Hmm.
once a scholarship is offered. And for instance, if you expect to have that scholarship, even if you get good academics, some schools don't give both. They don't give. Usually, the academic scholarship goes to the scholars,
Hmm.
and you can either go academic or you can go athletic and academic. Um,
Athletic.
yeah, athletic and
Hmm.
academic. And
Okay.
most schools do academic. Division one and Division two, they have
Academic.
scholarships.
Hmm.
Division three, they don't have scholarships.
Okay. Okay.
And that's because their schools are more academic.
Mm. So the junior colleges, what does it? What
Junior
appeal?
college,
Yes.
they do cover some um, finances.
Hmm.
Depends on each school.
Hmm.
You have to give information from each school of what they will cover.
What kind of influence does the coach have in the school system? I mean, like, okay, for instance, a coach sees a player. Let's use
Yeah.
Division Two now.
Hmm.
Sees a player is excellent, a good player, a good fit for his
Hmm.
team.
Yeah.
Does he have any influence? Does he or she have any influence of getting the school, university, to give a full ride to the players?
Well, it's the coach's decision.
It's a coach's decision.
Yes, usually the coach's decision. I
Okay,
don't. I don't. You're given a certain amount of scholarships.
right.
Okay. If you go to the NCAA eligibility on the internet, you'll see
Hmm.
what each sports gets scholarships. So I think the men get 9.5 or 10 scholarships. The women might get 14 scholarships, I believe.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, that's because of Title IX. So you can either half those scholarships, which if you have a local player and he's a very good player, you can give that person half because you're going to be charged in-state fees and it's going to be cheaper. And
okay,
you can take the
okay.
other half. You can get two players for one, for instance.
Hmm.
Okay, if
Okay.
you get an international student, the fees are different. So it's up to you as a coach on how you handle your budget.
So each school, the coach, or most schools, I say maybe not each school, but most schools have a budget that's given to
Oh yeah,
them by the athletic director or whoever is in charge,
yeah.
and
Each
oh,
sport is given a fiscal year budget,
okay.
and
Okay.
that's this is from my experience.
Hmm.
And in that budget, you have travel, scholarships, recruiting,
Hmm.
equipment, and so forth and so forth. So you as the head coach, you have to keep everything in order financially.
And the coach in his responsibility to the students, he guides them in the process. More
Yeah,
like, isn't it?
coach will guide the student athlete and the parents in the
Uh-huh.
process. Okay, because what I do is I always meet with the parents and the student athlete together
Hmm.
because you can get a good feeling when you meet both together. And then I put the onus on the student athlete to carry out most of the eligibility requirements and following up on SAT or ACT information. Because what I do is, if they can't do it on their own, how are they going to manage in college?
Right.
I put the responsibility on them, but I also ask the parents just to oversee and
Hmm.
let the student athlete start taking responsibilities for themselves.
Right. And before I get into the responsibilities of the parent and the coach,
Yeah,
the NCAA ruling, I know over the years they have changed, I think they're constantly changing, right? But are there any rules that, directly affect players coming in or maintaining their scholarship in school? I remember years gone by, not even they can't even get a stipend or a per diem from the national program. Is that the
yeah.
is that the same?
Well, you can get a per diem, but it's got to be a certain amount. Okay,
Oh.
can't be over a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I believe I was reading something the other day that a lot of the student athletes want to start getting paid, and there's a lot of you know argument about should they get paid and so forth. So,
Mm-hmm.
but,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so, because that's important, that's interesting, because a lot of parents, a lot of kids, a lot of local coaches who are actually coaching the players
yeah,
doesn't have an idea about that rule, and they encourage them to play in leagues. They encourage them to come back home and play in a professional league when
hmm
this can really destroy the girls' eligibility.
yeah, that comes under amateurism.
Yeah.
That's another rule you'll find in eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if any student athlete is accepted any form of monetary
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
their playing, then it kind of sometimes disqualifies them for
Yes.
NCAA.
Yes. I'm setting the groundwork because if the students, the parents, the local coaches are not being advised by the coach that are recruiting them,
hmm
then it can down the road it can lead to a lot of problems for them.
Oh yeah, if what usually happens is if say there's two players on one team and they play for the same team, and one's getting a little bit of cash and the other one isn't, somebody could tell on them, and then that's a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
so
think I
coaches
read.
know the rules. We have I used to have
Yes.
regular meetings on the NCAA rules,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we were always updated. Uh, it's called compliance. We had to be in compliance in many areas.
Yes. Why I raised the issue, Everton, is the fact that I was privy to a conversation recently, a few months ago,
Yeah,
where someone was saying it was a conversation and about a league,
yeah.
and it was a professional league.
Okay.
The person leading the conversation was asked, how is he going to get players the caliber that
Yeah,
will make the league, have some
yeah,
credibility?
yeah.
And his thing was, "Oh, we're going to bring players from the colleges over during the break and play, and they're going to be getting paid." And I'm saying, no, I just read the NCAA rules,
hmm
and that will eliminate her from even getting back into college.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
true.
so?
It's true. Yeah.
Right. And this is why I'm raising it now, because a lot of coaches are misinformed or doesn't do their own due diligence to ensure that you're not getting the player in trouble as far as the NCAA rules are concerned.
Well, the NCAA rules should be they're really strict.
Hmm.
And before a player should go, if they have any doubts with the coach, they should go to their compliance officer.
Right.
Each school has a compliance officer that deals
Hmm.
with the NCAA questions and
Hmm.
eligibility.
Yeah,
So
but you're
before
talking.
yeah.
Let me cut you here. Everton. That is more for. Uh, I'm talking about the Caribbean and Jamaica now, in particular.
Oh,
I am from. They don't have those resources. It is important that the coaches themselves, not in so much appearance, I won't talk about that, but the coaches who are doing this transaction with the coach who came to them about their own player,
yeah.
they should be encouraged to look at the NCAA rules,
Yes,
so they are no affair with everything that's happening in that transfer, and
you're right.
make ensuring that the child and the player doesn't get themselves in a situation where they can't get a scholarship again.
Yes, you're correct. And also, we talk about NCAA. There's also the NAIA, which
Right.
is
The
another function.
NAIA. Right.
Yeah. So you've got the NJCAA, which is the National Junior College Athletic Association, the
Right.
NCAA, and the
Hmm.
NAIA. So players can go to either. And if you go to California, there's another league too. So going back to the players in the Caribbean being informed, yes, the coaches need to be informed about their responsibilities to the student athlete, especially when it concerns eligibility.
How can the parents help in this process?
The parents help in this process. What I do, I give them links to the NCAA. Okay, and in the NCAA, well, in all of them, I don't know about in junior college, but all of them they have information for the parents what they should do and what they shouldn't do, which is very good. They cover everything. In my business, I give a sheet out, one to the parent, one to the student athlete,
Mm-hmm.
and what that covers is the do's and don'ts of being a student athlete and the
Mm-hmm.
parents' do's and don'ts. Yes, we want the parents to support the student athlete, but there's certain things that we don't want to be calling the coach every week saying, "Oh, is this are we getting the scholarship?" Because everything should be in writing. Once they
Okay.
get the scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
scholarships are yearly; they're not done for 4 years. So any coach that comes and say, "Well, I'll give you a 4-year scholarship," is not being truthful. Scholarships are renewed yearly. So
Okay.
why is that? Because one, academically, if you fail out, they don't have to renew it. Two,
Mm.
if you get injured, that money comes from a different pot.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And that will help assist the players in their recovery
that will assist the players to
process.
complete their education. Depending
Oh.
on, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if they get injured and they can return to play, they'll still keep their scholarships.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You know,
Great. That is those are the information I wanted to get out there, Everton, because we all the Caribbean players, all the Caribbean players are there that are maybe average players, sometimes good players, and national players aspire to get a scholarship
yeah,
to go to the US and get to further their education without their
yeah,
parents have to find all that money. And I know that the coaches love to go to Africa and the
yeah,
Caribbean and those places where they
yeah,
think there's an abundance of players. Jamaica, I know in our time when I started out with you, I know that we were a hotbed for players,
yeah.
for
Oh
especially
yes,
female, we're a hotbed,
yes,
you know.
yeah,
And so I would want that the coaches would understand the difference between the NAIA schools, the junior colleges, the Division 3, 2,
yeah.
and 1. What?
Because they all slightly have different eligibility rules too, so you
Hmm.
have to
Hmm.
understand it. That's why I was, the Caribbean coaches thing that you started. I think
Yes.
it's an excellent forum for
Hmm.
to educate Caribbean coaches on such things
Right.
for
I
future.
think that's an excellent point there. Through the Caribbean Coaches Association, we should
Yeah,
have all that information readily available on our website
yeah,
that we
yeah,
can discuss. And I think
yeah,
this is a good lead into that. Have you
yeah,
on is a good lead into that, because
mhm.
as I said, Everton, it's important that we educate our coaches, our
Yes,
athletes, and it's not only soccer or slash football. It
no,
can be
no,
any sport. You know, athletically, Jamaica leads the Caribbean.
mhm.
So coaches come down and they watch, and they know who they'll be targeting athletes from their 15 years old
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
following them for 3 years because they're targeting them
And
to
that's all.
come to the
Yeah,
college.
that's
Yeah,
true.
but I think to be fair to the athletic coaches, I think those in track and field are more informed, sad to say,
Yeah,
than the coaches that are dealing with the soccer, the football,
yeah,
because it's the process starts from so far out that they
yeah,
get an
yeah.
idea of what's happening there. And before I get you your business elite sports consulting, sorry, I just want to get across, and I think then we get into the different areas that you offer. and the sports that you look at in your business.
Yeah.
The information here is basically to get our football coaches, our soccer coaches in the Caribbean to understand the process.
Yeah.
A lot of them are not in the process because they don't have the players that a coach will reach out to them for.
Mm-hmm.
So they might come with a one player, and all of a sudden coaches are coming to them, and then they have no idea about the process.
Exactly.
And I also find that I know when a player is gets a scholarship, and this is one area I want to talk to you about. They are given a scholarship because maybe I think majority of the time they're from a national program. To be fair, people don't come and ask you just for a player. They want a national player because then they can sell it to their athletic director. Say, hey, I'm bringing this player because they're playing national programs. But I've always had a conflict with coaches. Not you, but some coaches that they take the players from the national program and refuse to send them to play for the national program. Give me your take on that as a person that was involved with a university in the US, as a person that recruited from the national program, right? Give me your take on that. What would cause them not to want to release the players to come and play for the national team?
Personally, I would relish. I would let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I will relish them playing at that level because they come back to the team with more experience. But not all coaches think like that. Again, even though it's university, it's a performance. It's a performance based. You're based on your performances too.
Right.
Okay, so winning games is as important as in the professional, really. Because and what I found out is a lot of fantastic coaches at NCAA, NAIA, NJCAA.
Yeah,
it's very competitive.
Yeah. I know you have junior college that can beat some of the Division 1 schools.
Oh yeah. It's very competitive. It's very competitive. So
go ahead.
Some coaches are not going to let their players go if they're going to a conference championship, depending on what's going on, or they're got a big time conference game coming up that they have to win to jockey a good position.
Yes.
It's like it's just a personal thing for some coaches. For me, but I think I had Twiggy, I had Nicole, I had 2 or 3 Canadians. I had Informa DK. She played for Scotland. But all that did was help my program.
Yes, I'm certain that it helps you to sell your program.
Yeah,
when you have these players, and I can understand. I cannot understand a coach who is in the position that he recruited a player to get the team a championship.
Yeah.
And so he has his championship coming up now.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for you to pay so much money for the player, invest in this player, then you have to send him off to the national program. So I can understand that. I can really see with that.
Yeah.
But during the season, I'm not allowing the players to come and play because you want to win one game, not a national conference.
Well, that's why you're supposed to have depth on your team. Yes, these players are very, important to your team. But for me, their football growth is also important.
Right.
Yeah, playing for their national teams is very important.
All right. So let me get into your business. Let me pry into your business, which is Elite Sports Consulting, right? And I put up your website there so anybody wants to contact you for help. Because in my mind, right, this doesn't have to be any place where it has to be from the UK. I think if anybody wants to do some consulting with you about just anything, I mean, to do with getting players from Jamaica, the Caribbean to the US, it's the same process. Basically,
it's the same process. The only difference is if you go to a country, like Germany or so forth, they need to speak good English. But usually those countries, the players, the student athletes usually speak good English also.
Yes.
Well, if they don't, then they have to take a TOEFL
Hmm.
test. But for the English speaking countries, it's usually easy to get them in.
All right. So now we're here.
Yeah.
Please enlighten me what your business is about.
Well, my business is about giving chances and opportunities to students who would never get that opportunity. And the reason why I started that was uh, when I came to the UK.
When you went back to UK.
Yeah, when I went back to the UK, um, I had to take my badges all over again.
Mm.
I didn't really have to, but I thought it was the best way for me to learn the system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So part of that was for me to coach teams. Didn't have a team, but I
Mm-hmm.
found a part-time position at Hackney, the London Borough of Hackney, where I was going to be in charge of developing football teams, male and female. That was
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. What
Mm-hmm.
I noticed about a lot of those kids, there were some fantastic, oh my gracious, fantastic athletes,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. But some of them academically wouldn't make it, and some of them attitude-wise wouldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I set out a goal. I had a team that won the London Cup, very, very good team. Off this team, 6 kids could have gone to college. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So what I did, I I I um I got in contact with a couple of Munga
Mm-hmm.
Academy. He was at Broward at the time, or it was at North Southeast or something like that. He was at
Mm-hmm.
Broward College. And I got in touch with a few of the coaches that I knew. But these players were exceptional. So I'm a person that if I give you set you a goal to do, um, I offered 6 scholarships. I could have offered more, but I only had six people who wanted the players,
Mm-hmm.
and I had been with these kids. I had been with these kids for a long while. I've been with them for about 6 months. We won the London Cup, and then there was a gentleman called Roger Steele. He was very important. He allowed me to coach them and do what I needed to do and develop them. So what I did, we started a team from under 14, we under 14, under 15, under 16, and then we only start with 3 teams, and then we develop them. First, we develop them not only the technical and tactical side of the game, we develop their attitudes of showing up on time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we had kids. We start practice at 5 o'clock. They'll be coming at 5:15. So I say no. If you want to be a part of this program, you need to be on time. That worked out pretty well. And then I used to find out about their academics. Okay. And meanwhile, I was finding about their academics. I worked also on their attitudes as far as, do they get mad when somebody kicks them? It's just silly things. Can we trust them? Do they show up on time? How do they dress?
Mm-hmm.
Just little things that are important.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I'm sending kids away, I don't have to worry about their behavior. I don't have to worry about if they're going to be on time. I don't have to worry about if they're going to perform academically. Okay. So what we did, I got these from disadvantaged areas because they were hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I went to the borough and said to them, look, I can get these kids scholarships. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are you willing to give me to help these kids get to scholarship? They said at first it didn't go well, because they couldn't relate to it. There was a gentleman there high up. His name was Chris Murray. He understood it. So I did a report, a case study, and what the case study did, I said, okay, if one child gets a scholarship, okay, over a period of 4 years, that scholarship could be worth 200,000 pounds over 4 years, including everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you spend more than that trying to keep the kids out of trouble. Okay, and then that's how they bought into it. Okay, so because there was a little bit of gang problems in the area, but
Mm-hmm.
what I was able to do with the blessings of Hackney was take those kids, mentor them. I was very strict with them, and ended up Hackney paying for the kids, paying my company for the kids,
Mm-hmm.
and we got 6 kids in school. That's how it started.
That's where it started. Okay. So, and I go back to some of the things you're saying about attitude and how they dress and all that. Because I think a lot of people don't understand. And for instance, that's a good base to really start off with. Because going into a different environment, different
Hmm.
culture, it can be devastating to a lot of young players.
Hmm.
And most of them are coming out of high school and they're probably 18 years old, some 17 plus,
Hmm.
and they have never been away from home.
No,
They have never been in an environment where the people look different than them, the people
no,
speak different than them, the
yeah.
culture is different, the food is different, and it takes some getting used to.
Some of them never even went out the borough. Never mind out leaving. Some of
Right.
them never even left the borough,
Mm-hmm.
which was amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some did have the opportunity because what Hackney did and did very well. They had a sports program for in the areas, and they had different sports for the kids, which was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, it was difficult at first
Mm-hmm.
because they had their own ways of doing things and saying, even the mannerisms of how they speak. I
Mm-hmm.
try to
Yes.
make sure that, listen,
Yes.
if you want to go, you need to be able to carry yourself in a
Mm-hmm.
good fashion. You know what I mean? So it was fantastic actually because I was able to make a lot of changes. Some of the kids you didn't have any problems with. Some of the kids were just hungry and they wanted the opportunity. But it was
Yeah.
funny because when you spoke to some of the parents, some of the parents were like, "Oh, I don't want my Johnny to go. Uh, it's too far away.
Yeah.
That sort of thing."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I was trying to say to them is, look, um, culturally, you grow, and that's what happened to me. I grew, and I tried to give them my story and how it happened to me when I first went over to America. I was homesick,
Right.
and I rang out the phone bill for £600. I think $600. My mom was furious, but anyway, another furious. But yeah, I just try to make it real. I don't sugarcoat anything.
Right.
I don't because that's not the truth. And
and,
what's
and,
going to
and
happen
you're
is,
coming from an informed position too. You know
yes,
exactly what happens. You
yes,
know exactly what you should be doing, and
yes,
this is why I like it. Now let me delve a little bit more into the business. So give me exactly what do you do for do you go out and scout players or the play
yes.
you actually come for you go out and scout players for your own business?
So what happens is that front right. In fact, on Wednesday I met with a young man.
Hmm.
Okay, now I have to go and see him play. I
Hmm.
go and see them play. I watch. I watch. No, again, I watch their technical and tactical ability.
Hmm.
I've got several kids right now who want to go,
Hmm.
but they're all good. They're all good educationally. They have fantastic attitudes, and they want to play. So that makes it quite easy for me to find a school for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're also mentoring from 13 years up, and we're doing that through the schools.
Hmm.
And the kids that have gone over to America, what I'm asking them to do is to be part of the mentoring program, go into the schools with me and talk about the program,
Hmm.
okay? And how we earn money is that we get grants from the local boroughs,
Hmm.
okay? So Hackney might give me a little bit of money, London Borough of Brent might give me a little bit. London Borough of Harrow might give me a little bit of money. That's how, because a lot of these kids can't afford it.
So that's where your funding. That's where your
Parents
funding
can't afford
assistance come in. That's where your funding and assistance come in your own
Yeah,
program.
yeah. The parents can't afford it. So I use the same business model for all the boroughs as far as going in and saying to them, look, we can keep, if one kid gets a scholarship, that saves you a lot of money.
True.
The
That's
little money that
exactly
you
true.
were asking for to put the kid through school,
Yeah.
through university, you can, some of them, yeah, some of them said, no, we can't afford it. But, I'm just a believer in the program, and thank God that a lot of people believe in the program also, because I'm getting a lot of fantastic feedback.
I believe in the program also from the moment I came across, because we lost contact for about a year or so.
Oh yeah,
For whatever reason, I think you were getting rich, so you forgot the program. When I came up across when we came together again, I
yeah,
recognized that this company, and I am saying that this is quite an interesting approach. Knowing
yeah,
your background, I knew
yeah,
your background. I
yeah.
knew I knew how enthusiastic that's not the word I want right now, but about getting kids into
Passionate.
school. Passionate, yeah, that's a better word for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So how passionate you were, and I've found it interesting. And
yeah,
in saying this, I want to go back to something you said before, because I think this is what's missing from the entire approach. And and I want to go back to that mentoring. So you do have a pre-mentoring. I'm going to call it a pre-mentoring part of your program,
yeah. I
which
have a mentoring. I have a mentoring and pastoral care program
mm-hmm.
where I mentor them before they go in,
Right.
and once they're in, I make sure they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm. So some of the
Yeah,
areas I think you mentioned them already, but I want to sort of reiterate those areas and those points, in the sense that you know exactly what happens in the programs. You are
completely.
actually in there, not just for 1 year. You're there for quite some time. You
Yeah,
played you came and you played in the college system.
yeah,
You coached in the college system. You
yeah.
were from the UK as a young player coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have seen some of the challenges. You
Mm-hmm.
have been through some of the challenges.
Yeah.
So who better to mentor these upcoming student athletes?
Student athletes, yeah.
Give me one
I'm
area.
very
Give me one of
fortunate
the
then.
areas that you pay attention to. Really pay attention to in your mentoring program.
The areas I pay attention to is how to carry yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and to make sure that they know that academics is the avenue. You're using sport as an avenue to get to where you need to be,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be uh, financed by a scholarship. Okay,
Right. Mm-hmm.
it's funny you ask that, because a lot of kids go, "Oh, any chance for me getting into the MLS?" And I'm
Yeah,
saying,
that's a
well,
that's a
I'm
that's a
saying,
good question. Yeah.
I'm saying MLS. You haven't even done college yet. You talk about MLS.
Yes.
You need to concentrate on what you're doing at college. That's the most
Right.
important thing. Because as I said to you before, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
the fortunate thing with being in the school in Florida, and what happened to us at FIU, is that we play against a lot of these pro teams. For
Right.
especially in the spring, we
Mm-hmm.
used to play against Fort Lauderdale Strikers. We used to play Tampa Bay Rowdies, and we
Mm-hmm.
played against them, and we were good. Our team was good, and we were very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So the most important factor is for them to get an education. And
Mm-hmm.
football doesn't last forever,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But if you use the sport as an avenue to get a living, let's do that first.
That is, yeah. And as I said, whatever we're speaking about now, it 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 it's a system where you have to know, if you kind of know one area and not know the other.
No,
You have to know where you are and the outcomes, right?
exactly.
And I tell you what I I made it a practice when I was uh, sending off girls for scholarship. I tried to get two players in the same program.
Yes, because you can. Yes,
You see,
very good because
culturally
they
they
help
can
each
lead
other.
each other, you know. And I think that's what I tried to do when we had an abundance of players coming out of our national program. As you know, in the
Yeah,
early
very, very good.
2005 2006 era, we had
Oh my God, they're great players.
a lot of good players. So we
Yeah.
tried to get them, and sometimes mentally they're not prepared. So you have some players who are stronger mentally than others.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with their ability on the field.
No,
It's just to do with their own mindset. What is it that
that's
they're
where mentoring comes into play.
yes, that's where the mentoring comes. That's why I love that part of it, because a lot of times we lean towards how can we get them in for fee? How can we get them in to do this? And it's not to do with the overall development of the minds of the players,
Mm-hmm.
what they should expect when they get into a college. Especially the area where you say work, schoolwork to play.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are coming. I make no apologies to say this. A lot of them are coming from situations because they are such a good player.
Yeah.
They don't have to do. Sometimes they're out of classes and they're still, being pushed to play and
Mm-hmm.
given a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
One area I want to stress on is that I've gotten players that only had one CXC subject,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten into junior college,
Mm-hmm.
and they have gone on to get their 4-year degree through the
Mm-hmm.
process. Is there any change in that
Yeah, I
approach?
think most schools are going more for the academic side.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe not as stringent on, like, I think it's 4 to 5 GCSEs, and I think they have to have a math and English.
Hmm.
I don't know what the others are. I'll have to, because my junior college players, for me, who went to junior college, they were bright. The SAT scores were so high.
Hmm.
I wanted them to get culturally, because I was worried about them getting homesick and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I sent them to junior college first,
Hmm.
and they
Hmm.
did very, very well and went out to 4-year schools.
How has COVID affected the scouting system? How has COVID affected the eligibility requirements in the college year now?
Well, COVID has affected it big time because now, until I don't know when the final date is, you don't have to take an SAT now for some of these schools. You can just go on your basic grades to get into a school. So coaches are reveling that they're snapping up players left, right, and centre right now. I was talking to a guy from Mike Varga. He's a coach I know very well, the other day, and he was saying, I was like, Mike, can you update me on the requirements for admissions to It's Gardner Webb? He said to me, oh, you know, but he goes, Everton, you don't need to take SATs. I went, what? I was getting on the phone. But because of COVID, a lot of the parents are a little bit weary. So for business wise, it's being really difficult. In fact, business is being really, really poor. Um, but hopefully it starts picking up again in the next couple of months. I don't know.
I know that's good news for people in the Caribbean. I don't know
Yeah,
about the US and UK, but I know because to do the SATs in the Caribbean is quite expensive, quite expensive.
oh,
So I know a lot of parents know our coaches here in this will spread the word, because
yeah,
it's definitely. I know SATs was always a sort of a challenge for some
yeah,
parents that they,
yeah,
they never had. Yes, your child is in line to get a scholarship, but where am I going to get this money to pay for
yeah.
this SAT classes
No,
for them to
it's
do?
really
It's just quite
expensive now.
expensive. It was a challenge for some of these parents.
Well,
So I'm
what
kind of
we
glad
do
that
here, what we do is we have a pot of money. We go
Mhm.
to the council and we say, look, there's some kids are not going to be able to to afford SATs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have a little budget to help them get their SAT,
Yeah. And
and that's how we combat that because a lot of them come from disadvantaged backgrounds.
mm-hmm.
But I don't use that against them. I try and help them build a fire
Mm-hmm.
so they can go on and come back to their neighborhoods and spread the
Mm-hmm.
word. You know what I mean? And that for me is what I love about this doing this job.
Yeah. What a question before we move on. How far do you plan to extend your services outside of the UK? Is that a
Yeah,
possibility?
yeah, I do plan. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only an occasion because right now it's only me, and I want to make sure that I give a good service to the 6 people that 7 people that I have. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I limit myself to a cohort of 10. I
Mm-hmm.
can look after that 10, but then I must have the finances to be able to look after that from the boroughs. Okay, I
Okay.
don't stretch myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in fact, the young man I met on Wednesday, he was telling me one company charged £3,000. But the funny thing was, after he went through all the paperwork and everything, then they told him, "Oh, it's going to be £3,000." I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking to
Mm-hmm.
myself, "That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy."
Yeah.
So my business model is totally different from those type of.
So, all right. So, question to me, and I am selling your business now. What is the advantages of what is the advantage of coming through Elite Sports Consulting Limited?
Well, the advantage would be it's a personal touch. I'm not going to pass you on to this person, that person, this person. So it's going to be a personal touch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to spend time with you and your family and talk about where you want to go. And for instance, in the meeting on Wednesday, his father came with him. Um, I introduced ourselves. We sat down, and I immediately started talking to the student athlete. Okay, it wasn't because I was being too rude to the parent. It's
Mm-hmm.
because student athlete is the person I'm is going to be dealing with.
Yeah.
He was very, he was very sound. He was very articulate. He was really, really pleased with it. And I wrote to him afterwards, and me and said it was a fantastic meeting. He says he wrote back and said to me one of the best meetings he's ever had because he's been through several of these kind of businesses,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but everybody wants big money up front. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not promising nothing. I'm not promising any bells and whistles. I'm just promising
Right.
you if the coach is willing to give you full ride and you're good enough, you'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
But for me, you better perform academically.
Mm-hmm.
Feel that's your business. I'm worried about academically because when you finish school, what are you going to do with that degree?
Right.
That's what I focus.
Because I think a lot of people lose that, figure that all of kids are going to become professionals. This is not so.
No,
Very few become real professionals. That's why they have a draft.
and some of them don't have the ability, and not as far as it's just there's a mental ability that's associated with playing professional that you've got to have.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and if you're not disciplined, you'll never do it. That's
So
why I'm very choosy who I
parents,
pick.
yeah, I agree with you. Being choosy is right because
Yeah,
although you see some players with the real ability to become top players, but they have an avenue to get educated, right? And maybe then themselves turn out to be an Everton,
yes,
that
exactly,
can do that.
exactly. In fact, it's
I
funny
would
you said
I
that.
would yeah, I would take solace in from if I'm a parent
Yeah,
and I'm coming to you
yeah,
and you're giving me advice. I will feel very comfortable knowing that you've been there, done
yeah.
that. So I
Hmm.
think that's the difference between maybe your company, your consulting firm, as opposed to people who just went into it as an area as a business and not as a passion.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Well, to
makes
be useful, Vin,
hmm
there's been a couple of people who've called me for advice
hmm
who want to start up. They went to America.
hmm
One guy was telling me they went to America. and he went through one of these companies. And
Mm-hmm.
because he transferred, they wanted to charge him £600
Mm.
as a transfer fee. And I'm thinking to myself, so I'm very open. I'm very transparent. And I said to the
Mm-hmm.
young man, I told him what to do, how to go
Mm-hmm.
about it, and he's in the same borough where I'm working now. So you know what I mean. So you know,
There's room
the
for everyone.
thing
Eh?
about it is, fun.
There's room for everyone. That you're
Well, there's
just
room for everybody. The
yeah.
thing about it is that you just got to be transparent,
Mm.
with everything.
Well, what makes a difference in I think for any type of business and competition is how you know put forward your what you have to offer,
Exactly.
how you operate, your personal touch to the business, because this is definitely has a lot to do. I say consulting has a lot to do with advice, right?
Exactly.
And I think it's important that we recognize that and getting involved in advising parents on how to approach the process of getting their students in the college in the US. I think it's a good one because
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of players come from Africa, from China, from all over the place to come to the US,
Yeah.
getting an opportunity. So I think consulting, getting advice is important so you know what you're going into, what is required
Hmm.
before you even leave your own country. You
Hmm.
know, get into the heads of the players, you know,
Yeah.
because they have to come with a mindset, they have to come with a mindset that they want it. And sometimes the mindset comes from the people who are mentoring them and their parents also,
Yeah.
you know. All right. So before let me ask you one thing. I know you're attached to Arsenal in one way or the other. And
Yeah.
I want you to explain what this means. A football development casual coach. What does
Okay.
that mean? It sounds like a fancy title, but what does that mean?
Well, what I do is I'm fortunate again. Um, been with Arsenal now in 6 or 7 years, and what I do, I travel around and I do um, football development in different countries,
Mm-hmm.
different areas of UK. I'm based in Sussex for some time.
Mm-hmm.
I know I went to Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
I went to northern Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a lot of places, and what we do is we we have a philosophy called the Arsenal Way, and
Mm-hmm.
we teach within that philosophy, and we teach coaches, and we also teach young players who are aspiring to be playing on a high level. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
At
what
what age
casual
did you start?
is I do it occasionally. I do it a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what casual is. Casual is like I may do um, football development one week. I may do another thing another week. Community stuff another week. But I
Mm-hmm.
like this job because this job is fantastic.
All
You know what I
right.
mean? Because you go into the communities again. You find the kids who need help, and to be honest with you, it's helped me in my business because when we go into the community and we see kids who are very good athletically but need a little push or need a little help,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you might get the players who don't make the academy system,
Mm-hmm.
very good players, and so you're able to, consult with them. So it's a win-win situation for me with being with Arsenal, and also, this business is my passion. So
Yeah.
I work at both. You know how I am. I'm very particular in how I do my business,
Okay.
and I put everything into it.
I know your passion, and when you're into
Yeah,
something, you put everything behind it.
yeah.
Let us do a little reflection before we finish. So we're finishing up now shortly. Let's
Okay.
reflect on. I want you to now speak to players. Speak to the coaches that are probably will be viewing this at some point. To players that will be viewing it at some point. Becoming a student athlete. What? Just give me a few areas that they must be aware of.
To become a student athlete, you must be aware of the sacrifice that you
Mm-hmm.
might have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for class, going to class.
Mm-hmm.
Practice might be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you adjust?
Mm-hmm.
Being a student athlete is much, much different from being a student. Okay, you might have to, if you have an injury, you might have to go in for treatment. You might have to go and do community service. In the schools, a lot of the student athletes connect with the community too. That brings fans into the school. So there's a lot of things that entail in being a student athlete, but I think the most important is your academic, the way you approach academics, because your sport, you're playing it because you love the sport.
Yes.
But academically, if you're not ready to do it academically, and I always go on the academics, you won't last. You won't last.
All right,
If
let's
you're a
finish up.
student,
Go ahead. Finish up that point.
if you're a student that comes from international, then you've got cultural understanding, food, just as you said before. So it's a thing that you've got to, as a coach, you've got to know that and make the student athlete feel comfortable. So this, if you get a student athlete for international, there's different concerns. If you get a student that's local, it's a little bit easier to acclimatize to what you're doing.
And I hope that I really hope that people listening here will understand the need of the mentoring program.
Oh
So
yeah.
let me finish up with that. Just going over what are the roles, what areas you cover in your elite sports consulting company. What is it that you do? Let me finish on that.
What I do is basically I contact the individuals. I go see them play. I have a meeting with their parents and them, discuss where they want to go, what they want to do, what are their goals, what do they want, and that's how I discuss it. And so it gives me an idea of what institution is looking for a player, what will they bring to that team. I talk with the coaches, so I do all round. I do basically everything, but I always make sure that student athlete is the right fit for that institution.
Great, good to hear that, Everton. I mean, it's great catching up with you and
Yeah, thank you,
discussing your business, discussing the business. I think it's well needed.
thank
Not
you.
just in the UK. I'm hoping that somebody have heard it and maybe want to start something in their own area, in their
Well,
own.
I've done it in Cayman Islands too, Cayman Islands, and I've done it in Jamaica. I've done it
Yes,
all over. I've done it,
yeah,
because I've been doing it for years. I've got two, a couple of players
yeah,
from Cayman, a couple of players from Jamaica. I
yes.
mean, from all over. So,
I'm glad to hear it's putting setting ground in different areas in different
oh
countries.
yeah, oh yeah,
I'm really glad for that. Everton is just good catching up with you. Good seeing you,
my
man.
pleasure, my pleasure.
We hope that we can discuss when in another era sometime, because you're a man of many talents. You're a goalkeeper coach. I'm
Mm,
sure you still can do that. I want to
yeah,
encourage my viewers now to the website is on screen. www.elitesportsconsulting.co.uk.
yeah,
Hit up Everton for any questions he might have. He's that type of person. He's engaging,
yeah.
right? So we are hoping that you know we hear more from you in the different areas. I'll pass it on to different people who
Most definitely, yeah.
need information, who need this information.
If
So
anybody wants to call and find out and get information, please
yeah,
do so. Contact me through the website, and I'll get back to you in due course.
beautiful. All right, Everton. I want to thank my viewers for watching. Please contact Everton if you need any information. And see you next time. We'll talk about another interesting topic. And hope you have a safe weekend. Thanks much, Everton.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Bye
All
bye.
righty. Bye bye.